First, we need our basic supply kit. Do you have your basic supply kit? Remember, we will use some items for it every single day. Every day, we also need some special supplies. Let's find our supply roundup sheet for today. It looks like this. If you don't have it, ask your adult helper to find it for you. They can print it from your lesson page or pull it out of your Clever Cat Preschool Book 1. Now, let's find our supplies. And remember, if you don't have it, your adult helper can print it for you from your lesson page, or again, it can be pulled from your Clever Cat Preschool Book 1. Now remember the check sheet? Right now, we're doing the Making a Supply Kit lesson, and we got our Making a Supply Kit check sheet, so we can check that off. There, we put in a check. Doesn't that feel good? Remember, every time you do a lesson, you earn a check. How cool is that? Make sure you keep track of all the hard work you do by giving yourself a check each time you finish a lesson. If you ever get confused, ask your adult helper where to put the check, and you will always know what work you finished and what work you still need to do to be a very clever cat. Next, we need the African Wild Dog color page for our supply roundup. And there it is, the African Wild Dog color page. And we get another check. See how I'm going right down in a row again? First, we got our Making a Supply Kit check sheet. And then next, we got our African Wild Dog color page. And we got a check for each of those. Next, we need All About a worksheet. Very good. That is our All About a worksheet. I have mine. Do you have yours? If you don't have it, ask your adult helper to find it for you, and they can print it from your lesson page or pull it out of your Clever Cat Preschool Book 1. And guess what? Once you have it, we get to make another check. Check! Next, we have A is for Apple worksheet. And that is your A is for Apple worksheet. Once you get that, come back to your supply roundup sheet. We're keeping everything neat and getting everything together for the day. So A is for Apple worksheet. Come across and give ourselves a nice big check. Next is another fun one. Apples. We need apples. Next is apples. So let's go find some apples. Here are a bunch of apples. Apple. Now, how many apples you need is up to you. If you just want an apple for a snack, 1 apple will do. If you want to make a pie, you will need 4 or 5 apples. So did you get your apple? If you can't find an apple or need apples, ask your adult helper to find it for you. And once you have it, go to your supply roundup worksheet, find apples, follow the line across, and give yourself a big check. Next, we need an apple peeler. This is an apple peeler. You might not have one of these, and that's okay. Another way to peel an apple is with this. It's called a paring knife. With either one, you should have an adult helper help you use it. Now that we found that, we come back to our supply roundup sheet, look for apple peeler, follow the line across, and remember that checks go down in a row, and check. We get another check for the apple peeler. Next, If you want to have a snack, then you don't need the pie crust. You can get yourself a little saucer or small plate to put your apple on. But if you want to make an apple pie, next we need an apple pie crust. This one comes in a nice box, and its shape is a rectangle. After we find a pie crust, follow the check sheet across and give yourself a check. Next, we need butter. And we found our butter. And remember, if you don't have these, ask your adult helper to help you get them. And then once you have butter, come to your supply roundup sheet, follow the line across, and put in a check. Next, we want cinnamon. Cinnamon. And this is cinnamon. Let's cross it off. Find cinnamon on your check sheet, come across, and give it a nice check. Next, we want sugar. There's sugar. Do you know where you keep your sugar? If you don't, it's okay. Ask your adult helper to help you find some. And we get another check. Find sugar, come across, and make a check. Next, we need contact paper. Now, do you remember your yearly supply kit that we made? And there is our contact paper. Find contact paper on your sheet and come across and give yourself another big check. Last for today. To get started, we need a sponge. Sponge. Do you know where your sponges are? Again, if you don't, it's okay. Ask your adult helper to help you find a sponge. And we keep our sponges in our supply closet. And here's a sponge. And now that we have our sponge, we can go back to our supply roundup check sheet and check that off. And you can see we checked every line the whole way down. And we completed a lesson. Our Making a Supply Kit lesson. And then come back to your Day 1 lesson sheet that your adult helper printed for you from your lesson page, or pull it out of your Clever Cat Preschool Book 1. And now you get a big check for Day 1 Supply Roundup lesson. So go across the line and put yourself a big check right there. A big check. Doesn't that feel good? Remember, every time you do a lesson, you earn a check. How cool is that? Make sure you keep track of all the hard work you do by giving yourself a check each time you finish a lesson. And if you ever get confused, ask your adult helper where to put the check, and you will always know what work you finished and what work you still need to do to be a very clever cat. You completed the Day 1 Supply Roundup lesson, and don't forget to give yourself a check for the Supply Roundup worksheet.